Good evening, Oriole Nation.
Well, someone's gonna have to take the camera, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you wanna come up here with us? These, okay. Should I save these for the Facebook? Okay, I'll save them.
I'll just keep it this way.
It's like, how are you? Okay, so good. That's nice. Oh, great. Awesome. I will hand that for thank you.
Good.
Good.
All right. Awesome. We are back in open session. Our next item is board mission statement and agreements.
So our mission statement as a board is we will develop policy that is representative of our community, set goals, and lead our district by collaborating. And our beliefs are stand up and own it. We are one, and courage to grow. Those beliefs are the foundation of who we are. The courage to grow is that we are constantly trying to learn from wherever we're at. We do that collectively in this room together for we are one because we need each other to be able to do that. And then we own it for our kids. And that's what the bottom line, when our decisions come to the play in this room, we're thinking about the students of North Fond du Lac and how we can best serve them.
Awesome. Thank you. Our next item is our consent agenda. So we actually have a few items listed on here. First is our adoption of our minutes from the December 15th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Second item is our treasurer's report, both of which are found in our board packet. So I'll look for a motion to approve our consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second? Then when you're ready, Rick, roll call.
Billings,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Jefferman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Matthew, yes.
Right. Next item is our opportunity to share as a board member a moment of pride throughout the district. So lots of activities over the last time since we met. So who would like to go first and steal everyone else's thunder?
Oh, that's what we're laughing about.
Yeah.
I'll go.
All right, Andy, go ahead,
I'll
Andy.
go.
Yeah.
All right, so today, a couple of us got an effort and participate in some of the student-led interviews. It was an awesome experience. I loved it. The kids were so nervous, but they did so well. And I think like the life skills translate really well. We were mentioning like all the schools should do it because it was just really cool. The kids gave a handshake and had to use eye contact and have a conversation. So it was pretty cool. And then also I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Ron and Mr. Steve at FLC for all the work that they do in the parking lot in the morning before school. Mr. Steve has music playing now for the kids, which is really fun. But yeah, they just deal with the chaos of the morning, which is a lot. Parents coming in and out and kids coming in and out. I think they do a great job. So
Nice.
So yeah, the listening thing was great today. It was awesome. The other thing I just wanted to mention was the way the sports schedules work out, it's kind of unfortunate because the boys and girls basketball play mostly the same nights as well as the wrestling. But I think it was a week ago Friday in St. Meyer, we had the girls varsity and the boys varsity play back to back. And it was awesome. The gym was packed for the first time. They had the alumni band there, so the band was playing. And it was just a real awesome experience for the kids. So hopefully we can do that a little bit more going forward.
I have a couple things. In addition to today's interview project, which I'm going to jump back to quick, but I also was at Trefford recently for the Pop-Tart event.
yes,
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Your kid was there. That was cool. And then last week, of course, the school board convention was again just another excellent experience for recharging and kind of renewing why I do this and why we're there. So, and then back again to the interview project, we had no idea what the questions were going to be that we were interviewed, and so I was, kind of preparing what might they ask. And this question didn't get asked, but what do you like best about being a school board member? And while there's a a lot of things, that was what I like best when we're in the schools, interacting with kids, or just being there to show them that we're there, that we care enough to be there also. And I would encourage you guys, the other principals, to let your staff know if there's stuff like this. You know, we all have interests outside of school day and can't always make it, but I'd be more than happy to come in and add that support to the kids, so. So that's what I have.
Yeah, well, I'll echo the commentary on the interviews today. And, you know, again, just that it's something that's valuable. It's good life skill in general for all of us to go through, you know, just how to hold a conversation, how to, you know, introduce yourself to someone and be present for their responses and things like that. So it was valuable and good thing to be a part of. Also been spending a lot of time with the wrestling team, and last Thursday we had before the cold weather hit, right? We had a quad meet, and it was also senior night. So Travis and Landon and Alexander are seniors, as well as Hayden from Springs. So it was nice to recognize, you know, them and you know, see them doing well. So.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, two things. One, if you follow our Facebook page, there are so many different events going on to be able to recognize everyone. But I think what's cool about it is a lot of people take part in making the things happen. So whether it's incubator, whether it's robotics or any of our sports, honors band, I think was on there a while ago. It just takes a lot of effort to get those opportunities for each of the kids. And then I was telling the board earlier today, I had the privilege to spend 45 minutes, which was plenty of time, at the office with the ladies in the office at Horace Mann last week, right at the end of school. And I just want to thank everyone that plays a part in that role. And we were talking about actively listening. They had at least 30 kids come in with a different situation they had to resolve in 45 minutes. And I know that echoes through everyone within the district in their day, but that to me was really eye-opening on how they're balancing that and still making, you know, the rest of the work, the rest of the job happen as well. So just congratulations to them and thank you for all the work they're putting into it. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate everyone sharing. Lots of great things happening. So it's always nice to hear. Next item, and tonight they won't be here for Horace Mann Student Council. Typically in January they're not, but they come back with a full report in February. So we'll plan for some extra time for them then. And then our next item is our clerk's report. So Rick, when you're ready.
Backpack Buddy donations, Wayne and Janice Shiggin, $50. Howard and Sharon Freiberg, $100. Darlene Hankey, $100. And Dick and Barb Banky gave a peanut butter donation, and Mary and Joel Rashevsky a food donation.
Nice.
So thanks to those guys.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing, Rick. Next item is opportunity citizens comments. So this is where if anyone would like to share a comment to the board, we just ask that if you do, please share your name, address, and then just try to keep it within 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll open it up to see if there are any comments. Okay, see all the familiar faces. So just want to make sure. All right, we'll move on to the next item. So Matt, it's all you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Good to see everybody part of this tonight. We break down the superintendent's report into our 4 core areas within our strategic plan: learning and academics, safe and emotional healthy schools, financial and operations, and then engagement and communication. And we're going to start tonight. We got a special guest coming in from another location tonight. I'm going to have him introduce himself in just a second here. But when we look at engagement and communication, we are constantly trying to build our community and doing the best we possibly can to foster who we are and where we've come and what we can do in the future in terms of our school district. So we are talking about leading a future summit here in this district in terms of just building and creating stronger bonds and trust within the district for all of us. And there is a specific route and process to do this. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mike Slowinski coming from Kaukauna School District. And I'm going to put your stuff up, Mike, so I'll let you have this and go to town.
All right, great. Well, thank you everyone for allowing me to come in and spend a few minutes with you today. Again, my name is Mike Slowinski, and I'm the superintendent for the Kaukauna Area School District. What I wanted to do tonight is just share some of our experiences in Kaukauna around facilitating community-wide conversations. And so in the 4 years that I've been in the district, we have done 5 different community conversations. One was that helped us to develop our strategic direction for the district and ultimately turned into our strategic plan. And then most recently, we held 4 community sessions that revolved around our comprehensive facilities planning process, which ultimately led to our successful passage of a $198 million capital referendum last November. So we've had just a lot of really positive success around working through this process, and just wanted to be able to share with you, give you a sense of what it looks like, feels like, and then I'll open up for any questions that you might have about that. Awesome. So the good thing is Kaukauna and North Fond du Lac have the same colors, so everything is color coded here for you. So looking ahead and talking with some initial conversations with Matt, looking at how do we start building a backwards plan from a goal of having some community conversations in May. And with this process, it would really start, post this meeting, where Matt would be working to put together what's called a design team. And so that's a group of about 10 to 15 individuals that represent various stakeholder groups throughout the community that would help to actually build the types of activities and conversations that would go into the ultimate community conversation event. It's really great to have a wide representation of key communicators and district promoters in that conversation, just to be able to add their perspective around, these are some of the questions we should ask, or these are some of the activities that I feel like would be most useful for whatever, the purpose of the summit is. Then once the design team is invited, they would have about a meeting a month where we would come together to really kind of plan out each one of the events, the timeline for the day, as well as generate a list of key people that would be invited to the community conversation. So in Kaukauna, we invited the entire community, but we reached out strategically to some specific people with individual invites to say, that we really want to hear your voice at the table in this, and here's what we're trying to do, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. A lot of times it's that extra little nudge of the personal invite that I think, because it is an investment of time for people. And so when they're like, I really feel like the district wants me to be there, much more likely to get a good turnout. So late February through April would be those design team meetings, detailed summit planning, and that community invite process. And then in May, ultimately running through the community conversations themselves. So what this looks like, and these are all pictures from different processes that we've had. The design team, one of the things that we would do with the design team is develop our key stakeholder groups throughout the community. So those yellow pieces of paper on the bottom picture are different stakeholder groups like large businesses, small businesses, parents, I forget what, experienced community members is what we call them. The people who then would have kind of like the knowledge base of the system and the community and all those things. Once we developed the categories, then that team went up and put sticky notes, as many as we could think of, underneath each one of those. Like, hey, I know that Joe owns this business, down the street. This is somebody that we want to have there. And that helped us to really generate like list of people that we would end up having individual invites to be would look like. It also helped us to step back and say, okay, we have like a whole bunch of parent stakeholders, which is great, and you obviously would want that, but we're really low on this particular group. So, it kind of helps the group to be a little bit more intentional about what the makeup would be. We also, invited any of our staff to be a part of it too. And so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't too staff heavy, just from the standpoint of that really shifts the conversation, especially, our intention at that time was developing the strategic direction of the district. We wanted to make sure that it, in the end, genuinely felt from the community, like our voices were heard and we had a way to influence and impact the direction. So it was a great process that way. And then we also would go through, like, here's, the agenda for the night, here's how much time we'd spend on the activities, and get input from the group as we develop that. So in the actual process itself, we spent a lot of time talking about the experience that people would have when they come into the conversation. So we ended up holding it in our high school commons. That's really the best space we have to host a large group in Kaukauna. And we set up the space where, bottom right picture, they walked in, we have a big Kaukauna arch. We had some registration tables, we had music playing, slideshows of different pictures of kids in schools, doing various activities. We had, as we walked into the actual event, we had set up big posters that kind of told the history of the district. So people could stop in and see, especially people who've been in our community for a long time, just kind of helping to tell that story right from the beginning, that, we are here in this present moment because of the people who came before us, and there's a long history to where we got to, and now we need this group to help us shape the next steps for the district. We also talked about making sure that we are using this as an opportunity to highlight our kids. So our summit ended up being 3 different, we had 2 evenings and a morning, and every one of those sessions we started off with something with kids. So we had kids lead in the pledge, we had music groups there, we had our dance team form a spirit line as people were walking into the event. But it was just a nice way for us to showcase the great things that kids do every day in the district. So then each activity that we did, in order to create a situation where we were able to get all of the voices involved, but also make sure that we're able to distill this down to actionable feedback. We had a process that would start every activity with an individual reflection. So for example, one activity we did was about what are the key issues and trends that you feel are facing education in Kaukauna today. And so we would take a couple minutes then, and people would jot down and kind of list out here the top 5 trends and issues that I think that our community and our school is facing. Once people got a chance to process individually, they were all in small groups at round tables. And then we would spend the next 10 to 15 minutes having each person at the table share out whatever it was that they were reflecting on for the activity. So the whole table had the chance to hear everyone's full thoughts. And we designated a facilitator at each one of those tables just to be able to kind of keep things moving, making sure that there isn't any one voice that's dominating, but everyone gets a chance to share. Once every person had a chance to share, then the tables would refine all of those ideas down to here's our agreed top 5. And so we have a process to be able to do that. So I might have, if we're all sitting here, we're going to have 40 or 50 different ideas, but in the end of that 10 to 15 minute segment, we're going to get down to the 5 that we agreed on. And what it was really neat about the way that we structured this is we ended up having 250 people attend, and we intentionally had people seated at different stakeholder groups. So what ended up happening is we had people with vastly different political viewpoints, vastly different worldviews and experiences, different ages, different roles in the community, that were sitting down across from each other and having a face-to-face conversation about education in the community that they care about. And it was a wonderful process that way, just being able to have empathy for another person's perspective, but also I think what we found is that just really that saying that we have more in common than we think we do sometimes when we come to the table. So this part of the process really helped our community to kind of come together around that type of consensus. And then the last part of the process is that every table then would go ahead and share out what consensus they came to at their table. So everyone in the room can hear the collective thinking. And we were able to then gather all of those different, top 5s from each one of the tables. So what ends up happening is we run through several of these type of topics, is that you get, a vast amount of data, but it automatically starts to filter down. So you can really, like as Matt or the board or, the team starts looking at the community's feedback, it becomes a lot easier to be actionable. Because if you get 250 people together and ask them what they think about public education today, you can expect there's going to be a lot of different things. And there were those outlying opinions, but this process helped it to come together to say, okay, these were the key ideas that really came directly from the community here. So the activities and prompts that we did over the 3 days, we started off with a community timeline. And what this did, this activity, it was actually a physical timeline on the walls that went every decade from the 1970s to the present. And it asked people to think about what were the things going on in the world at that time, what were the things that were happening in our community at that time, and then what was happening in education. And it was really, really interesting to watch, from students to, parents to grandparents to community members, all being able to contribute to this co-constructed timeline and the common sharing and storytelling that happened with that. It was a great way to kind of break the ice because people got to talk about, their own experiences and how that relates to the greater fabric of our community. And so we were able to then kind of go through and share here are the big pieces that were happening in that time. As a new superintendent at that time, it was fascinating, right? Like the 1980s was when this building came on. Remember when we were talking about this and, this big event happened in the community, and it just really helped to build a common understanding and pride. Then we jumped into the issues and trends. So key issues and trends facing the district and education. The next activity we did was Mads, Glads, and Sads. So what's frustrating you about the district? What makes you mad? What's going well? What are the things that you really love about what's happening in the district? And then what are the, those pieces that are frustrating or sad to you? And so again, going through that whole process, everyone individually gets to share their experience, but ultimately you get to this really nice distilled version of these are the overarching things that are going really well and the overarching areas that we could look to improve. Another activity then we asked, what are the characteristics and skills that you would like to see from graduates from our high school? And so just hearing about the interview process that you were able to be a part of, it was a lot of the feedback around that. We want people who are able to look someone in the eye, shake their hand, be well-spoken, be confident, work in a team, all those different things. And from that, we were able to really kind of reflect back on how does that manifest itself in the classroom as well as in our social emotional curriculum that we have across the district. Then the last activity is kind of, this was the last one that we did within the series of 3 meetings, but it was about visualizing our future. So we had spent 2 nights talking through all those other pieces. We've seen a lot of data, we have a lot of conversation. And then the activity here was to say, now imagine that you left the North Fond du Lac community for 10 years. And the district has now gotten to work over those 10 years on all the feedback that we've heard. And they've done a tremendous job at, taking those things on and really moving the needle in each one of those things. And you're coming back to the community after 10 years. What does that feel like, sound like, look like? And so they were in small groups and they had to create a visual representation of what that was. It was very interesting to see what people came up with. We had some that created their own newspaper headlines. And so they went through newspaper headlines. We had groups that did skits and reenactments of what they would see. We had groups that just kind of had standard posters and walked through it. But everyone brought, some level of that to the table. And then we took the pieces that came out of it. So for example, in our story, we had purchased land earlier in that school year. And so a lot of the presentations talked about what would it look like if we built on that land and we're working to build something that would bring the community together. So that ended up being something we wrote down as, building an all-encompassing community campus. There were ones about mental health, staff retention, and things like, all different pieces. And so we had that all up on a wall. And when everyone was done with their presentations, we did what we call a consensogram. So everyone had a couple of different dots and they could go up and put their dot next to the thing that represented or that resonated with them the most. And that really helped us to kind of have a concrete way of saying, so here's where the community wants us to go with this. So like for us, student mental health was one of the things that resonated the most with people. Working on staff engagement and staff well-being was another one that rose to the top. But it was really obvious for everyone that who's taking part in that to see this is what the community said, because you have that visual representation with the dots that way. The other, and I just shared, the other community conversations we did were around our facilities planning. So that came after this. It was a year or two after that we really started then looking at the facilities planning process. It was actually informed by these initial community conversations, but the way we structured it was a little bit different. So we did short presentations of information followed by key concepts and questions. So we were looking at, and these are just very Kaukauna specific examples, but we were looking at all the comprehensive needs for our facilities long-term in the district. And we're like, we need your help to figure out, are we in the right direction? What, how do you want us to work through this? So I did a 10-minute presentation on elementary grade level configuration and some of the current challenges that we had. And then we at tables asked these two specific questions. We gave people 10 minutes to talk about that at their table. Then I got back up and presented 10 minutes on childcare and the childcare issues in our community, and then asked them to come up, reflect on those two questions. We had a 100-year-old middle school, so same thing, just reflected on that for 10 minutes, and then had them have a conversation around that. And then really just kind of an all-encompassing question at the end of like, what feedback, now that you've heard all of these things we're wrestling with, what feedback would you have? So again, we did that same process though, where tables, after they were able to talk and reflect, they shared out to the full group. And then we took all that data and came back and communicated back to the community to say, so out of everything we heard, here's how you've helped us inform the next steps and direction. So just from a standpoint of, some of the main benefits to this process and having the community drive it this way, number one is engagement, right? Like people are coming in to do meaningful work and they can see how what they say and their opinions actually will turn into actionable results. It creates a shared understanding. There were all kinds of things that came in through those conversations that, someone came in with one thought and then somebody else at the table is like, well, actually, here's the reason why that is. Or, here's what I heard. And, people were able to really come together around a common understanding, not only of what's happening in the district now, but what the future direction is. Built a ton of trust and transparency, ownership, connections, and then really just a lot of pride. There was so much positive feedback coming out of that to say, we really have a great community and a great school district, and we're really excited about the future direction there. So I think anytime you invite that type of conversation in, it's the end result is really positive. There was some nerves too. I mean, this was coming right off of COVID when we did this, and people were like, do we need police there? Like, it's just with how polarized things were, it was wonderful, as we went through that. So I just wanted to share just a quick, this is a minute and a half or so video, just so you can get a sense of like, what is the feeling as you go through this event, now that you've heard those details. the gist of that. Very intentionally low tech. So it is very, face to face and interactive with conversation that way. But also an opportunity for people to get up and engage in the activities as well as, sitting at their tables and talking. So we would not have been able to do some of the things that we've been able to do over these last few years without this. This really set a foundation for us. And it's been something that over 4 years I've been able to constantly reference back to say, hey, when we heard this and when you were a part of this, this is why this decision is being made right now, or this is where that came from. And then we have a plan every 5 years to kind of have a refresh, where we bring the community back and re-look at where we're at and continue to gain. Any questions or wonderings around any of that?
Oh, that was great. I appreciate you sharing that. That really nice, recap of how you built the system. So just to confirm, you put someone from the district at each table to help facilitate?
So in our capital projects, we had someone from the district at each table.
Okay.
We ended up using our design team in the summit.
Okay.
So, but
Which is the team prior building up
Right.
the day, so you have individuals from each one of those at the tables with them.
And that just helped from a standpoint of having somebody that you've had a conversation with who understands kind of what the process is going to look like. And then sometimes they don't have to do anything, but if it's starting to get where one person is dominating the conversation, to be able to prompt to.
Keeps it on track a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Good.
What's the size of the community in Kaukauna?
So Kaukauna, the city of Kaukauna is about 17,000. We have 4,000 students. But there's 10 municipalities as well outside of that, so.
What was the percent on the vote that you passed by?
We were 60 something. It was one of those that we had not passed a referendum in 30 years. Every referendum that either passed or didn't pass was like within 100 votes. This was by far the biggest yes in Kaukauna. So that was one that I thought was going to come right down to the wire, but ended up not. And I think part of it is just how you bring, each community is different, but we were able to, I think, help people be a part of that right from the beginning. Before we were even talking about a referendum, we were talking about the future direction, and then some of the pieces about facilities came out from that versus the other way around.
So now you get time to reflect. It went well. Is there anything that you would recommend, like maybe something you would do different or something you would double down on, like that was the moment?
Yeah. So during the first summit, after it ended, if I were to do it again, I would have written out like almost a white paper of here are the concrete findings. I did it better in the second one when we had the facilities. But one thing I noticed was that coming out of the summit, because there was so much data, that people kind of defined the summit based on what they felt they heard, which is great. And I think that's good to have part of that, but then to have an official statement from the district saying, and so here were the overarching themes and priorities that came out of it. And then I think, in terms of like doubling down on stuff, I just think it's such a great opportunity to get people in the doors that maybe aren't regularly a part of those things. So what are the opportunities to showcase the successes of the district and put students and teachers and, kind of out front in the spotlight there in a really feel good way for people.
In your folders is a breakdown, a little bit more specific to us, but at the same time capturing exactly what Mike was just sharing. Next steps for us in the district here, we're going to work on creating that design team and then start getting people together. Mike is going to be along with us for the ride a little bit here, just helping based on his expertise in the last areas, just to help co-facilitate or facilitate in some of these areas, just so we have someone outside of our district who can, come with no bias, no nothing within that frame, and really help execute the whole process for us moving forward. So we will and hope to plan like within those first couple of weeks of May having, some days set up, but within the next few weeks, we'll have early February, that design team picked and get people starting together to put something like this together.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks for the time again. Appreciate it. Looking forward to working with you on this. This will be a really exciting event for the community. So.
Just wear your orange and black, all right?
Yeah. Yep.
We'll get them some North Bottle later.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Sorry to talk so long. See you, everyone.
See ya. Take care. Safe travels. All right. Flipping into another point. We are gonna drop into two quick things so we can keep moving along here. First, we're gonna talk about open, and this is the financial and operations area, open enrollment capacity update. And I've got a couple people here just to talk a little bit about this, but I'm gonna pull this up for everybody and just kind of how this whole process works. We got Brad's in the back here, Brad Ranke, Elena's here as well, helping us out. So what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna, defer to Monica too, who's in the room as well. But what we try to do within this process, and every year annually, you have to determine how many open enrollment seats are available for the upcoming year. Open enrollment is those extra seats that you have availability for within your population so that you can, again, allow individuals, if they so choose, to choose our district as the place where their kids will be served. So we have to come up with a grid and a chart, and we share that with the board. We put specific numbers attached alongside each grade level in terms of how many additional open enrollment seats can we possibly and feasibly have in a comfortable way. We do this based upon Baird projections. So we look at a 5-year projection. We look at open enrollments in the past years. We look at a lot of different factors to try to do our best to determine where things are going to be at. So we frame that. We do the best to get in that zone that will best help us moving forward and everybody else in the process, but also keep us in a place where we can keep doing our business really well. So that's the side of the open enrollment in terms of the per grade level. Each grade level has a caseload max, and then we come up with that extra number if we need to in particular areas. And then I'm going to turn it over to special education because that's a whole other facet to this as well, because we also have to determine what does that look like in terms of open enrollment for other students to be able to coming into our area. Brad, Elena, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. We kind of factor in the same things. Just today, pulled numbers. We have 256 kids in our district that get supported through special education. That's like 18 to 19% of our population in the district, which is a lot. So when you talk about state funding and how important that is to us and how we get through this stuff in a small district like this, it's vital. And that's a big part of this and how we kind of look at these numbers. And I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but we're really looking at you look at each area within, we kind of broke it down within schools, just our cross CAT, our all-pres, also our early childhood EC, just different vision services, Treffer, speech and language, just different parts where we look at each of those caseloads. And then we took and looked at how many kids have we had transfer in, how many have transferred out, how many referrals we currently have or have done already that will impact those numbers. With all the interventions and different pieces that we have in place right now when we're looking at those referrals, I think in the past you'd be, hey, would they qualify or not? I would say most of them do qualify just because of the interventions that we do have in place, which is good. So we're getting supports that we need for kids. And then what does that percent change? That first percent should be 85%, sorry. But side point, just a little math there. But also then the open seats. So currently right now, I mean, as you look at our numbers, we do not have any open seats, which is very common, I think, throughout the state of Wisconsin in special ed is, we really look at those caseloads that tell us a picture of how many kids that we do have in each of those departments. But really, when we look at that, we need to look at it more as the workload. So the state of Wisconsin helps us look at that and say, hey, what is the time available to support those kids? What's the intensity of each of those kids that you need to support? And then do we have enough educators to support those kids? So when you start to talk about all of those different factors in there, those numbers become a little bit bigger. And that's why we're sitting at those zeros is you start to weigh in those different effects of those. So
Can you just explain, I'm not clear on the transfer in, transfer out
Sure.
referrals, what that means.
So transfer in is like kids who have moved in or moved into the district.
And that's after a
So-
specific date.
Yeah.
So we looked at all of our transfer ins, after June registration.
So they're moving into the Village of North Fond du Lac, their special education services.
So they're not open enrolled and they're actually.
They're ours. Yep, they are ours. And then how many, we also like to look at, well, what is that, what are we gaining and losing when kids are moving out of North Fond du Lac that may have special ed services? So that kind of gives you that number to say that's what's moving out. As you can see, we have a lot more moving in than out, which is good. But it also creates challenges too, definitely. So, and then just the referrals in general, like, I think we do a wonderful thing in terms of our interventions and how we look at that. And we're really, really meaningful on how we make sure that when we're talking about kids and disabilities, that we go through that process, and the state of Wisconsin tells us what that process is. And we have that data to say, yeah, there is a disability here and that they need support and help to make it through, their academic careers here. And we do a really good job of that. Everybody within that space, many people even sitting at this table are part of that. And that's where our numbers are. And I guess that's probably why we're sitting at zero, is because we do take that serious, but we also make sure that we support our kids. That's a big part of it. Any questions with that?
Thank you, Brad. Any other questions in terms of open enrollment in general?
Just going back to the first sheet.
Yep.
On the spaces available. So the numbers, the kids that are already open enrolled, they're not part of that.
No, they're not. So this is in addition to that number, right? But we also have individuals exit too, who leave either throughout their K-12 experience or as seniors. There's a significant amount of people who do leave within our range. And we do look at last year's numbers so that we can kind of balance it out to as best we possibly can within what we have.
So do you think on the spaces available, how confident are you that those will be filled?
I'm very confident.
Yeah.
Yes. We're an attractive school district and people want to be here. And it's a lot because of who we have in terms of making sure that our kids are served every single day, from our teaching staff to our administrators to, I think, the culture that you provide to these wonderful buildings that we're part of. There's so much great things happening here, including in a minute, you're going to hear about our learning. So these are all real big pieces in terms of, I think, what draws people here.
Just
Yes,
one
Steve.
comment I'd make. I appreciate the fact that you're analyzing this and looking at what we can handle, because there's always the potential for a district to chase the money.
Right.
And bring in as many.
Right.
Open enrollment as possible. And we're not doing that. We're setting the numbers where we can handle it properly and the kids benefit by that. So just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on the open enrollment world? Monica and Joe, I'm gonna have you turned into the other operations piece on the 5-year capital improvement plan. Just talking through, the board has gotten that information, but then moving forward.
So
Everybody, Joe Scheider too, our director of facilities, if you haven't met him before yet, but Come to this area. Yeah.
So, just looking at some of the stuff, talking with, my predecessor, Dave, had some stuff down, and also what I've observed as I've been here for about a year now. Came to Matt and, talked with Monica and Matt and came up with sort of some stuff that, I see that needs to be taken care of in the district, and as far as capital projects to keep the facilities in working order, to help educate our children. Basically, keep the lights on, keep the rooms warm, give them a facility that's beneficial for them to be educated in. So with that there, just started on a 5-year plan of what do we need to help this year out. We are working on this right now between Fund 10 and Fund 46. Monica can go more into that, their part of it, but working with her that, like the age of the high school, normally a roof on a school is, I know most of them have been done in the school district with all the referendums that have taken care of a lot of this year. But the high school, which was built back in '99, is getting to 30 years about the expectancy of a roof. So, and that is a very high cost for doing a repair on that. So right now we have roughly, I'm working on quotes on that there too, and we're trying to see how we can fit that in. But right now, I know it went through it in a previous school district that I was at, that how much what the expenditure was for that. And came up with basically we're right around 2 million is what I'm giving the ballpark right now for, but working with contractors to get a better ballpark figure on that there. So that's out there. We do not have that designated for 1 year. We're looking at doing that yet. We do have some issue on some of the roofing, but we are able to do repairs right now yet. They're not that where we need to do anything right now, but we want to get this out there for future things to do. And that's what I came up on the list and came through just one of the like the AC 10, that's an air conditioning unit number 10. That is an AC unit that's a 1966 model air conditioning unit. So just, it's something that's on Bessie Allen roof, and it's working right now, but it needed to be put out there. So that's why that's on the list. Just different stuff that is on there is what I have brought to Matt and Monica, and that's where we're starting to get this list together so we can do future planning for our budgetary purposes for the school district.
So Monica, none of this was in the 5-year projection that we got like last month, I think.
No, we'll factor that in. And I think the key here is a couple of things. Roof replacement. You don't typically want to replace a whole roof, right? So that's why that's broken down into 4 different replacements. You want to start getting it on a cycle, because if we can fit some of it in a budget, maybe 1 year, and then you're not tapping into Fund 46 as much as possible, it just be calculated about it. So Joe and I talked about it, like what's the worst part of the roof that we need to work on first? Because you're also setting up the people that are going to take our seats in the future for failure if we don't do it in a cyclical, fashion. So we're working on that. And then the 5-year plan, you kind of look at that 5-year plan and you go, what can I feasibly fit into the budget? What's realistic that I might be able to massage into those numbers? So that's why we put a year in there. And then, the stuff that's kind of the outlier, like I don't have $1 million that I'm planning on seeing from the state in the near future to build a concession stand,
I was
right?
gonna ask.
But-
about that concession.
But you know what I mean? Like
What
you
is
have to get that on the radar so people know these are things that we have to fix in the future, or things that are on our wish list that we need to include. And so that's why it's on there with no year on there.
So where is this concession stand and how?
It's the track and field, it's right by the football area where it's.
$1 million?
We guesstimated, right? Like think about how expensive it is to build, and everything's gonna have to be ADA compliant. I know a lot of school districts have gone through concession builds recently, and it's pretty close, just the concession stand.
Build a house for $500,000.
I do want to make a couple points here, though. The first, 5, 6, 7, 8 things on here are really needs. We're talking about Truffert window replacement. I mean, Tiffany, how are the windows over there right now?
Sometimes they open.
Okay. To, AC replacement at BAMS, ELC steam piping. We're talking about the gym floor, which has not been refinished in
From
ever.
what I understand, it's never been refinished. It's just, it's been refinished, it's not been taken down to the bare wood to be brought back to life. It has 25 years of varnish coats on it right now. And with that there, every time you put a varnish coat on it, it slipperier. I mean, you can mask it with different types of finishes, but the correct way of doing it is actually taking it down to the bare wood again and then starting new.
And then other things on here, like for safety purposes, high school gym door replacement. Those things, some of them don't even close. I mean, for that part, I mean.
One is actually the hinges, the mullen is actually bent, that the hinges, you have to put your shoulder in to open it up. So, that, and the bottom of those doors are actually starting to rot out too. They're steel.
I personally didn't have an issue with anything except for the
Concessions.
So,
Well, again, I think it was just a throw-out number right now, but.
You gotta put something in there.
I said on an email this morning, was that a typo? Was that supposed to be 100,000?
I wish it was 100,000.
And this is something we have not had since I've been here, at least, in terms of like a 5-year plan of just mapping out what are those needs and then sprinkling the wants in, and then how do we actually achieve those over the time, and being very conscious of what dollars and resources we do have in terms of like conditioning those towards learning, towards keeping our building safe, keeping it up to date. Those are some things that we have to do. But we wanted to give just an idea, a rough idea, a draft to get it on your forefront so you can give us input and moving forward. And we will continue to update you in these areas as we move forward with our work. And again, it comes down to bids, it comes down to cost. I mean, there's so many different factors, but these are the things people don't necessarily think about when you're thinking about the school district, right? All these other add-ons, these resources, and when we talk about operational referendums, these are huge components of those areas where it costs a lot to run districts. And especially with inflation and other things that go on, it's not an easy thing to make happen given the amount of dollars we get from the state.
And nobody pays attention to the roof until it starts leaking. So we have to plan for that.
Okay, any questions about the 5-year plan at all? Okay, and now on to the main event. Thank you for your patience and everything. We're gonna flip over to FLC and their report, and I'm just gonna bring this up for you, and you can.
I can print another one.
No, it's on your, then you have it printed.
I think there's a way to.
And just confirming this is the updated one.
I believe so. It was the one that Natalie put on here, so.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
If not, I
We
will
will.
commission that.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for having us. A lot of great things have been happening since we were last here back in September. I'm not gonna read everything that I have on the slides, but I think just one of the things that I wanna touch on in terms of where we've put a lot of focus since the fall has been our grade level meetings. So in addition to our Wednesday CT, Kara and I meet every other week with grade level teams, and then Mr. Gronke and Mrs. Plachek also meet every other week then, so on opposite weeks with grade level teams. They have more of that SEL behavioral focus, and we're leading more in that academic space. That time has really allowed us to do a couple things. I think first and foremost, it gives us a really good kind of indicator of where our staff is at, just almost like a pulse check and a check-in. There's a lot of different things, I think, just on the plate in general, but Act 20 adds a whole nother layer of learning and just different compliance pieces that we navigate on the daily. So that's been really helpful in that space. And then it also allows us to kind of tie back to that universal tenant rubric and really talk about instructional strategies. So for example, yesterday, Kara was able to share a resource with all of our staff around formative assessment and just kind of like put to the front, hey, this is a great podcast in case you want to, again, hear this information in a different way. We're able to get into, I think, more of the specifics in terms of what that looks like in classrooms. So for example, every grade level was able to kind of share ideas. These are the things that we're doing in our class when it comes to formative assessments and opportunities to respond. So it kind of makes that rubric, that tenet, those pieces come to life, I think, and allow us as leaders to really gauge where people are at with that.
And like Lauren said, those grade level meetings are super responsive, so sometimes things get bumped. We're always with highest priority of needs, and like she was saying too, we're in that January rut. These kids are now our kids, and it's like having your own kids at home. We might get a little stagnant, so we might need to freshen things up a little. So just giving that opportunity for teachers to try something that somebody else has tried too.
Ms. Renzel here will talk kind of about bullet point number 2 in a little bit, just in terms of win time and our interventions at FLC. We have focused specifically with our SLO K2 in the area of phonics, 3-5 in the area of informational text. We're fortunate to have a tool such as CKLA that really drives a lot of our phonics work, especially K2. And then UFly is a very common intervention that a lot of our classroom teachers are also utilizing to kind of layer in that additional support. Informational text with 3-5, I think just that general awareness of like, this is an area we're focusing. So we're noticing teachers are intentional with bringing those texts into book clubs or into small group time, just to kind of help drive those 2 pockets of our building work, further. Act 20 compliance, you've heard me talk a lot about this over the last couple years, but we had about 32 students, now that all of our data is in, so 34 is a little outdated. 32 students move above the cut line for that at risk for needing a personal reading plan. There's a lot of different factors that go into that reading plan, and I won't get in the weeds with like how kids necessarily exit, because there's a lot of things that I think we're even doing proactively to like keep them on, because we don't want them to eventually flag again in the spring. So we want to kind of keep that momentum going in terms of that work.
We're using the DPI as a guidance for what the expectations are to leave a PRP, but then like Lauren said, we have very high expectations for our students to never have a personal reading plan ever again. So we are making sure we're doing our due diligence, cross-referencing data, and making sure that that student is truly successful in all parts of literacy before that happens. And then what she's showing too is correct me if I'm wrong, it's fall on the left
Yes.
and then spring or winter on the right.
Yep, and that's considered like at target within next path. So there's a lot of different data points that we'll talk about in a little bit. I mean, there's at risk, there's proficiency levels, there's tiered levels. So we'll dive into that in a little bit. But yes, that just shows the fall to winter growth in both of those areas, which we'll show again in a little bit. Beth Cook, she is one of our literacy coaches from CESA 6. She's who we partnered with the structured literacy training. So we have 2 more sessions with her coming up, one in February, one in April, and just again, continuing that work in that space of making sure our teachers are all trained in the in structured literacy. Let's scroll down that quick. All right, on you.
This one.
You want me to do? Okay, yep,
I have number 4 in my brain.
that's right. Okay, I got 3. So historical data, I think we were talking a little bit about like, how do we also kind of show where we were and now where we are today. Last year, we used Ames Web as our diagnostic, so we didn't have iReady last year. However, Ames Web was still the screener that we used that was mandated by the state. It's not comparing apples to apples, and we talked about this a little bit in September because the state changed what they considered like the cut scores and the norms. So those allowed obviously some different shifting to happen, but you can even just see at a glance, I know this is kind of small, so I apologize, but how many kids were in the red fall, winter, and spring on oral reading fluency, according to Ames Web, which that's that statewide screener that we use. That's what all districts across the state use.
That's last year, right?
This is last year, yep, 2024, 2025. And here's where we're sitting right now for 25, 26, fall and winter. So even just seeing that red get smaller and our blues and greens get bigger.
This should really make you smile, right? That's really, really good. It's really good. So in addition to Ames Web, we use iReady. And you guys are starting to get familiar with what the colors mean in iReady and all of the pieces that come along with the data analysis of it. These are really great visuals of where we were in fall and where we are now. Look at that kindergarten, you guys, just warms my heart to see all that growth. You'll also notice that there is the slash screen, which we talked about a little in the fall. We're going to talk about it, I believe, on the next slide, versus the green. The green means that that's early on in their grade level, and then the yellow is 1 grade level below. The red is 2 grade levels, and then if it's slashed red, it's 3 or more. So you can see how we are significantly growing in our area of literacy at FLC. We also have that projection on there. iReady puts this together for us. So based on where our students are at right now, where would we be at if they make that typical growth now that we've done that second diagnostic in winter? Any questions about that at all? Looks really good, yeah. So this is just a little bit more broken down. As you can see, we have students who are testing at proficiency. If we were to take that forward exam tomorrow, this is a projection of how many would be in that proficient is the slash screen. Any of our students that are green are considered our tier 1, which is what you'll see reflected in the winter right there. So those are students who are projected to be at grade level at the end. It is not currently the all proficient, but it is all green, which is tier 1. And like you can see down there with the triangle, our tier 1 is our students who are projected to be at proficiency just with universal instruction. And just a reminder that our huge domains that we're focusing on at FLC and pretty much in the whole district is phonics and then informational comprehension for informational text. No, I'm too zoomed in on you. That's okay. Thanks. Yes. So we just wanted to also show you that our students are making huge growth in their typical growth. So students who have made 100% of their typical growth for end of year, you can see I think that's 38% on that first graph there. That's what our students are testing at already. Again, we only expect 50% for our students, but if we're going to close gaps, we need to make that stretch growth, and we can only do that if our students are making typical growth first. So we are already at almost 40% of students who are at typical mid-year, which means we still have 5 more months to do so much more learning and increase that too. If you can tell my excitement about this, it's really super exciting to see. And our teachers work so hard on this, so it's just really great to see this too. So overall, we are looking at the phonics piece, like I said, in grades K1 and 2. That matches with our Act 20 support and our interventions as well. So the dot on there shows, again, if we were to take that proficiency of grade level at the end of right now, this is how many are currently at that grade level proficiency, but we do look at that early on grade level as considered our tier 1, because our teachers are also doing support within that tier 1 too, to be able to make sure our students are making at benchmark at the end of the year.
I think this is such a good visual too, because you can see the growth made from the fall to the winter in each of these areas too. So being able to see that shift and that jump. And then this is 3, 4, 5.
For the informational text, yes. Yep.
Can you pull over so we can see the grade level then on that?
Yes. And if you can remember from the fall, 3rd grade was our high. Remember how we talked about how 3rd grade was high? I think you're like, why? Like, why is 3rd grade? We didn't know, right? 3rd grade is also continuing to test high mid-year too. I think we have many classrooms that have no students in the red. So I'm in there now and enhancing 3rd grade within 2 of the classrooms and doing a book club. So I had 20 students find me on Monday, and we were starting to work on main idea within book clubs all about snakes. So all kids had different texts about snakes and reptiles, and teachers are launching with that too. So we're still continuing to enhance students who are showing that grade level proficiency as well, and that's been kind of fun for me too. And again, you can see it's around informational text because that's what we're really trying to, focus in on in our 3-5.
Before moving on, just
Yeah.
huge kudos
I know, I want to do a
leadership,
power
to the
back.
leadership
Wanna do a power
and
back?
to-
3, 2, 1.
yeah, there we go.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing, and I'm not pretty amazing, it is amazing, so
It
we're
is.
very fortunate to have all these players within our district,
Okay.
including Peyton.
Thank you. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Faith Renzel. I teach 4th grade here at FLC. Thanks, Lauren, for inviting me tonight. I'm really excited to be here and tell you guys all about our collaborative teams and our CT time, which stands for collaborative teams. So this all really goes back to our belief we are one. Everything that we do here is for our kids, for our students, which I included a picture of my class right here from our field trip to Lambeau Field. Awesome experience for them. And this all, we are one. Who does that include in the 4th grade team specifically? There's a lot of people. We have Mrs. Kreider, Miss Chia, Mrs. Rademan, Miss Dyke, me, Miss Finley, our special education teacher, Mrs. Fifley, our multilingual teacher, Mrs. Logeman, Mrs. Schnell, Miss Vera, our school interpreter, and so many more that I'm probably forgetting. But it wouldn't be possible to help our students without all those people to help 4th grade. So diving into our CT time, the 4th grade team formally meets on Wednesday and Thursday mornings. Wednesday is more of a focus. We began to dig into the data at the beginning of the year, looking at past forward scores, looking at the bottom quartile and how we can address those student needs. And now it's really turned into all the other data resources we have now. iReady, Ames Web Fluency scores, and our Tier 1 instruction assessments. Thursday mornings, we are able to focus on the plan for our coming units, our coming lessons, and how we're going to support our students through those Tier 1 instruction times. And during the Wednesday morning meetings, it's super nice because all the school's educators are in the community room. So we're able to go to past teachers even, or future 5th grade teachers and say, hey, what are you guys looking for? And we're just out there to talk to each other. Even if our multilingual teacher might not be at our table, I can go, hey, Morgan, can I talk to you for a second? And it's just really nice that we're all together and we can all really focus on the data towards our kids and helping their needs. During this time, we also plan for our WIN time, which stands for what I need, which is exactly it, what our students need, our small group instruction. My group specifically focuses on phonics. Now, the 4th grade team shares students across the grade level for the WIN time. So some teachers focus on comprehension and fluency. Other teachers focus on math. Mine is specifically phonics. And I'm gonna be completely vulnerable with you guys. I have students, there are students coming to 4th grade who don't know their basic phonics, which is letter sounds. So with the amazing help of Jen Towell, who's been coaching me through this Tier 2 instruction. I call her my fairy godmother because, boy, she just helps me bring up all of that K1-2 phonics instruction to my classroom, which you don't really see a lot at 4th grade. So it's just awesome that I can tap into her for those resources. She is awesome. And something really exciting with my group is that with those resources that they now have, they have grown so much. We are moving on to long and short vowel sounds, diagraphs, sight word reading, and spelling. And it's just really awesome just to see in the 8 weeks that I've had them. I think it's around about week 5, not including winter break, of course, but just to see how much they've grown. It's really exciting to see. On to multilingual collaboration. Mrs. Kreider and I and Mrs. Fifley, our multilingual teacher, we meet on Thursdays during our lunch period to plan for the supports in that Tier 1 instruction in the classroom. Mrs. Fifley always reminds us that multilingual students need time and a half. So what does that look like in our CKLA curriculum? That's really fast-paced. This can roll over to our teacher choice time, to WIN time, and create those formative assessments and supports to help those students. Before we move on to the next slide, any questions?
How many students in your class?
Thank you for asking, because I forgot to say that. I have 9 multilingual students in my classroom, one being new to the country who doesn't speak any English, and a student who's been here for a couple of years but also doesn't speak any English. And I would like to highlight one special multilingual student of mine. So this student, this is her iReady fall and winter data specifically for reading.
She has grown 58 points from fall to winter. Now, points are points. What does that all entail? Thank you for zooming in because I would not be able to see that. So in phonics, she has gone from kindergarten, sorry, can you zoom up so I can compare to? Thank you, sorry. She has grown a whole grade level in phonics, kindergarten to first grade. She has grown in vocabulary 2 grade levels from first grade to third grade, and in comprehension, K to second grade. None of this progress would be possible without all of these data points and all these people helping these students every single day. And here is also her intervention progress monitoring. They get progress monitored once a week, any student who is in a tier 2 or tier 3 instruction, to track their growth. So, yeah.
Remember how we talked about that typical growth versus stretch growth? As you can see over on the way right-hand side, this child has insanely surpassed her typical, or his or her typical growth. And then if you scroll down, it'll even tell you that they are very close to their stretch growth already, mid-year, mind you. So kudos to Faith for continuing to grow her students.
And which that led overall in iReady to go up a whole grade level from first grade to second grade in iReady reading. And that is with the help of her intervention, her supports in the classroom, and through her win time, tier 1 support, and her hard work. Any questions?
And again, the reason why we do this is just seeing what's under the hood, because we hear these things, we hear these data points, but we really don't understand what truly is going on, and the amount of work that these folks put in every single day, it's crazy. And yet to see that student go from where they were to now, that's, again, amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. And the fact that we're doing that, like, what great confidence for our full district that we're getting those things done. So kudos again.
Yeah, well done. It's obvious.
Yeah.
That's exciting to see.
Thank you. Now I'm not used to talking to adults. It's normally 9 and 10-year-olds, so this is new for me.
That's about our grade level.
Faith builds the best relationships with her kids too. I've been able to observe her as a teacher, and she just really makes everyone feel so welcomed, and yeah, she's just really fun. They enjoy learning.
I think it says a lot too about teachers when they're willing to seek out that like additional coaching support, like she had said. I mean, being a 4th grade teacher, not always having like the skills and the tools to teach that K1 phonics level, and being able to reach out and partner with a coach is awesome. Like, I think that really is courage to grow too, which is awesome. All right, a few more slides here. Just again, these were some of the things that we focused on in terms of how we were moving forward with our K2 phonics and our 3-5 informational text. We have purchased decodables that are being very much utilized, K1 for sure. And then just Kara mentioned too, like the whole concept about book clubs and being able to really target some of our kids who are even in the green, in the yellow, and really making sure that we're extending or enriching for our kids who are demonstrating proficiency. And even if they're not, just being able to do some things outside of that, like structured intervention within win time. The other thing I would just note here with just RTI, our academic team meets every other week. One thing that I think we feel really good about as a building is a classroom teacher at any point can fill out a request for assistance. That's both an academic and SEL. And it allows our teams to really kind of rally around the student and the teacher and just kind of talk about what are we seeing, what are we noticing, what advice or supports can we offer as an academic team, and then we just have that formal process and data tracking for that next year's teacher. So that's been a really neat thing to see this year as well, kind of carry on from last year.
And then we're always touching base with that teacher. How's it going? Do you feel supported? Anything we need some more with? So once they get on that academic form, it's like we are continuing to offer that support.
I love to highlight learning targets at the elementary because our teachers teach multiple subjects, and this is even an example of a special education teacher who has multiple groups. So you can see she has all of the learning targets for each of her groups kind of posted as they come in throughout the day. And this is just, once again, one of those universal tenets that we've been really trying to do well at FLC. opportunities to respond, and that formative assessment is definitely something we're still talking about often. But when we're really getting into the co-planning, especially during our grade level meetings, something that we often bring up with CKLA or that we hear our teachers say is there's so much here. There's so much within this lesson. So being able to talk about the learning targets and really simplify and have a clear, focus area, not only for our students, but for our staff, that's been a really important piece for our just tier 1 instruction. Math data, I just wanted to include this. We haven't forgotten about math, even though we were super focused on literacy this year. You can see here just the growth fall to winter again, seeing a lot of these gaps or a lot of these colored bands shifting. We had about 4% who were demonstrating that grade level proficiency in the fall. We've moved that up to 17 as a building. And then same thing with our growth down here. So this would be if students show no additional growth, which again, we're on track to be showing typical and hopefully even a little bit above that. But this is where our numbers would sit, again, if the kids took the forward exam tomorrow in terms of the winter proficiency projection. Lastly, just the whole idea of culture and belonging. There's a lot that goes into the teaching and learning bucket, but there's a whole lot more that goes into teaching the whole child and making sure that all of our students and staff and families just feel valued and appreciated. So this will be waiting for staff tomorrow as they arrive to CT time with some coffee and some donuts and some protein balls, just kind of honoring all of the hard work that they've put in. Yeah, don't tell anybody. Just honoring all of their hard work, and I think we're always trying to, like Kara said, just bring that energy to them because we know that this work can be exhausting and they're doing amazing things. This is a picture of a kindergarten class. She had made the arrangement with her kiddos that if they all did their best, they'd focus, nobody rushed through, they would get pies in the face. So we had a senior YA student who also got kind of looped into that as well, but really fun moment for those kids. So just trying to always make everything that we do fun and celebrate our wins along the way. School connectedness, this was a survey that our 3rd through 5th grade students took. This is just showing that majority, I want to say, I'm sorry, my percents are so small. About 90% of our students in terms of school connectedness. So this is, do I have a trusted adult? Do I have a friend at school? And then is there something that excites me every day about coming to school? So we're really proud of this just data point in general. It says a lot about, again, our staff and the work that we're doing. So something that we absolutely want to celebrate. Looking ahead, a lot of things that we want to continue to do, promoting just that love of literacy. Kara did a really nice job right before the break, kind of putting together a district-wide tablet view of all of the books that we're reading and just being able to share that love of literacy even as adults. Goal setting with our kids.
More so because I wanted recommendations myself.
I laughed at that, and I actually checked out 2 books from the library.
Student goal setting just around Courage to Grow. This was something that I felt like we always did a really bad job with last year, just like getting our kids to understand the importance of why we're doing this and like the work that it shows, and to not rush and take their time. So we've been really trying to just build up that student like accountability within that space too. Goals for our future as we head into semester 2, really making sure that we have strong tier 1 instruction. That's going to happen through all the things we've talked about: learning targets, opportunities to respond, co-planning, all means all. Learner engagement, this is an opportunity for us to continue to grow. This was a question in terms of like, do I feel comfortable asking my teacher for help? And so this was a lower area for us. So this is something that our SEL team is really trying to dive into too, and just talk to kids about like, when is it an appropriate time to ask for help? There are also moments where productive struggle is important, and it's not that they don't care about you if they're not jumping in and helping you in that moment, but just a lot of coaching and some teaching opportunities around this as well. And then as you've seen, we are using data now more than ever to really drive our decisions in our meetings, in our planning times, where we're moving kids from group to group and how we're responding to their needs. So continuing to use those tools like iReady and NextPath with all that we're doing.
So is the staff pretty accepting of this data approach?
What do you think? Yeah, I think like, if I'm being honest, it's taken us some time during that Wednesday morning CT time to really build that cadence of like, take out the data, this is how we're walking through it. We have different parts of that Wednesday morning that to start, we even were setting timers like, okay, spend 10 minutes focused on your bottom quartile. And then now we're shifting gears and be focusing on this. So there's definitely been, you know, some productive struggle along the way with a lot of that with our staff, but all in a good way. Like Karen and I talk about this all the time. The willingness is so there. It's just continuing to build up the skill and the knowledge around all of these things. So I would say yes. And they ask really good questions, which is good. Or if something seems like it's hard, I always say if something seems like it's hard, it's probably too hard. You're probably too hard. So let's make sure that we're saying that it's too hard or it's too much, and then we can swoop in and support as needed too, which has been great too.
I also think we're getting a ton of outside support, like with a lot of our new data tracking tools, like Joel has come in from iReady and helped explain that process. We've had NextPath people come in. We just met with NextPath actually on our cold day, on PD day on Friday. We still had some teams jump in with NextPath. So we're getting a lot of support from our data tracking tools as well to help guide our staff and help understand the tools we're using.
That's good.
Any other questions or comments for this group?
I think it's awesome. When I was reviewing it before, because I know we did a lot of different work over the summer this year and took a different approach. And I was like, man, all this momentum is going into the spring. What happens in the summer this year? But I think this data will also maybe reshape what that plan is or could be, right, for support, getting people ready for the next year. So there's not that cliff of drop off that happens over the summer as much. But no, I think it's cool. I mean, numbers don't lie. So that's because of effort.
It's great when you talk about the numbers dropping. I think that it's just leveling up. Okay, so we know where we're at right now. What do we need to do to get to that next level? You know, and I think we've got teams that are just so dedicated and passionate for these students that, you know, to see this happening, we just want to continue to make that happen for our kids.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all.
And we're really fortunate tonight because we get double the fun because Trevor gets to come in right afterwards. And the reason why we're doing this is because the data is still fresh. If we waited till April, some of this stuff would already be changed so much. So we want to make sure that Trevor also has that opportunity to share some of their data with us tonight and some of those experiences. So Fitz, thanks so much for coming in, and we're going to turn everything over and appreciate it.
I'll stay with you.
Um,
I'll stay here. Get your color class ready. Coming again. I like it. Okay, great.
Is it?
Yes. All right, so thanks for welcoming us back as well. Like Matt said, we have updated data, so we thought it'd be great to get it to you right away. Instead of, I know in December last month, I was like, well, in 2 weeks we're testing again. So here we go. Here is what we learned. So not everything will be updated because our SEL and things have not been resurveyed since then, but okay, so some of these I blocked on mine, but are not blocked on yours. So, nope, that was a skipped one too. Why? This is my December.
Okay, we can make that
Sorry.
shift.
Should I?
No, let's go to, let's see here.
That is not my updated data, you guys. That is a repeat of my December show for you.
Grab it. Oh, we got it.
That should be it.
This is it, right here?
Well, no, that just says the wrong date. No.
Okay.
Do you want to
You want me to
reshare with
reshare with
them?
you now?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Just go right over. Talk about that.
Yes.
I thought I had the right one.
Okay, I just accept it.
Yes. Sometimes this is a little bit close. Yeah, we don't wanna. Oh, come on.
What's it called?
Can you go to share?
January Trevor.
Way 25?
January 20?
Yeah,
January
January. Trevor Way.
There it is.
There it is.
Yay. All right. Let's rock and roll. As it loads. Clever's always an interesting, oh, there we go. That's
All
our stuff.
right, so getting right into our achievement data, looking at ELA. So our iReady, our students took last week. And this showcases here where we were in the fall and where we are in the winter. So that dark green slash, we were at 13% at the start, and we are up to 35% right now overall for ELA. Again, looking at our tier 1 instruction, we're at 45%, up from 37%. So really seeing some nice growth from our students in our achievement data. I did break that down for you by grade level, so you can look at our K through 5, similar to FLC. Our K1 focus area is phonics, and our K2, K3, oh man, K3 is phonics, and then 4th through 8th grade informational text. But a huge celebration for us is that 100% of our K1 students are currently mid or above grade level in literacy.
Okay.
Power clap.
Yeah,
3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah.
So huge shout out to, I mean, Heather, Brenda, all the teachers at Treffert Way, the kids who are putting in the work. I mean, they're making it happen. So that is a big celebration for us at that grade level. And then 6th through 8th grade, we're still seeing some growth. We definitely have areas we want to continue to focus on, but a celebration there that we have that we wanted to highlight is we had in the fall, a couple of our 6th grade students. This is in the area of phonics. So they tested at grade 1 and grade 3 in phonics at the start of the year. I also tapped into Jen Towell, and she introduced us to Heggerty, which we used a little bit last year too. So I've been meeting and working with some of those students on Heggerty as their intervention. And both of those students have now surpassed grade level just with that intervention and filling in that hole, that gap that they were missing in their learning. So again, just digging into that data to define like what our kids need and meeting them where they're at. Huge celebration there. So our K3 again, focus area is in the area of phonics. So this is broken down into what that looks like for those grade levels. So we jumped from 51% up to 72%. Our goal being 80, we are right on track for that to be a thing as we move through second semester here. Personal reading plans are also a thing over at Treffert Way with it being a statewide mandate. So this fall we had 6 new students that had personal reading plans that qualified for criteria, bringing us to a total of 9 in the winter. We did not have any new students requiring plans, and we had 2 that met the exit criteria. So also a big win there. And then these graphs show.
They're just from the Ames Web. They also put it into graphs too for fall. The first top one is the kindergarten. The second one below it is the first grade, and then it's second and third. That's just the profiles of what our students at Treffert are testing at. And we're looking for over the 25th threshold.
Yes. And then our 4th through 8th graders, our goal is focused on informational text comprehension. So again, here are those levels. So not as big of jumps as we would like, 25% up to 27% overall. And we'll definitely be digging into that data and figuring out how we can do more, but we did still see really nice growth from individual students throughout there too.
And one thing that Tiffany and I took from the last time we met with you was that percentages for Treffert looks very different than percentages for FLC. So having the number of students next to it might also give us a better indication of where our work needs to be as well. Just because there's less students.
Yes. So as a school overall, our literacy looks like it dropped, but like we said, if you look at that green, we are going to be there at the end of the year. So we're excited about the gains that our kids are making. We also have an intervention time and progress monitoring that happens on a regular basis. So of our 60 students, 17 at the start of the year are specifically being progress monitored on a skill that we found that they needed to work on and build. And of those 17, 13 out of 17 or 76% are showing growth in their progress monitoring area that we have picked, and then based on interventions that the teachers are doing throughout the school too, which is awesome to see. And we wanted to highlight a specific second grader from Jill's class. So this student at the start of the year, this was where the student tested across the board. So overall grade 1, lots of K1 in there. And at the start of the year, we were looking at passage reading fluency, and you can see in this graph, it was kind of up and down. So we reevaluated to figure out, is this what this student needs to be working on, or do we need to look at a different area? And we decided that pseudo word decoding would be a better fit for this student. And you can see the trend line is now going up in that progress monitoring data. And then when we tested just now, this student has jumped up 57 points from the start. The student has met the stretch goal for the school year already. You can see like surpass level, grade 1, grade 2, early grade 2 for all these areas. So huge kudos. So this is a student, this yellow is our phonics. So this student is not green in our phonics, which is our goal area yet, but you can see all the growth the student has still made. I mean, I got to test the student for a while, and it was amazing.
And I would just say, just like on a personal level with her, like the student is like, the confidence has grown. Like so much more, you can just tell from the beginning of year to now.
Yeah, hearing her read in her testing, like she was like reading the passages and I said,
Yeah.
oh, well, I think I know about this, or talking to her
Yeah.
thinking, like you can
Yeah.
tell it's modeled in class.
She's been starting to read a Mercy Watson book, and she was so excited that she could read it. It's really good to see.
And you can see here, like in Ames Web, her vocabulary grew from 17th percentile to 87th percentile from the start of the year. And her oral reading fluency at 19th to 21st. So making gains across the board. Action steps that we're continuing from first semester, we're gonna be digging into our current groups and data to see if adjustments are needed within groups and what we're doing. So tomorrow at our CT, we're actually gonna dig into the data from iReady as a whole staff. And then our CT time, second semester, we're gonna work on bringing in more student data. So we got to spend a lot of time first semester talking about the Trefford approach, really building our projects, our project-based learning skills. And now we're also gonna be bringing in data that relates, maybe these are skills that are taught within projects, and we're bringing in data from projects still to do it, but it's gonna relate to those focus areas and have that data to support it. And I have Jill here to talk about our second and third grade classroom, how our student needs being met in a multi-grade classroom. And one strategy that Jill uses is station rotation. She's gonna talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I have my classroom, because we have second and third graders, various needs, very advanced third graders and lower level second graders. So I set up stations. So at my class, we have like my station is like the core reading instruction station. Mrs. B, our IA, has a writing station. Then the kids go to a silent reading station, and then I have a word workstation. And we've been really lucky to have the YA students from the high school come. So last semester, we had Mallory, and she kind of ran the word workstation, and now I have a new Straya is there running our word workstation. So we've been really lucky to have that extra person. So my real focus in literacy, like when we're doing those things, is I make the reading and writing connection. So like today we did characters. So like in reading, you think about the characters in your books. In writing, you get to create a character. So then Mrs. V and her group then is focusing on them make their character. And then in my group, when we're reading our books, we're talking about thinking about the characters. And their silent reading, that's their goal, and is thinking about the characters. So kind of all bridging the gap. And then in our word workstation is, so kind of going back, I tie my phonics time into our morning meeting. So we do a morning meeting every morning, and then that's where I bring in the phonics from the CKLA or UFI, bring that in, and then the word workstation, they get to practice that with the YA student. So they get a little bit of
what's the cadence on the rotation and how, do they get through the whole rotation in the time period or is it split up in a couple days?
Yeah, so, no, they go through the whole rotation. It's about 15 to 20 minutes, depending, to go through. Each station is about 15 to 20 minutes. Before, like, we start our rotations, like, I always do like a mini lesson, trying to keep it short of like, okay, today we're talking about characters. You know, we read this picture book, here's how I think about characters. Here's what you're gonna be doing with Mrs. V in writing. So we do a little bit of that and then they go into their stations and it's about 15, 20 minutes at each station that they get. And then we come back and wrap it up and we always have a share out of, okay, like, you know, tell us who was the character you made today? Or when you're reading, what were you thinking about character? You know, what was your character you were reading about? You know, and so it's always about like making those connections though between reading and writing. So like if we're editing, it's like writers go back and reread their work, readers go back and reread their reading to make sure, you know, when we did punctuation, writers add punctuation, readers notice punctuation. So really building that strong connection between reading and writing.
And a clear learning target for kids.
Yes.
At the end of the day, they know what the
Yes.
intended outcome is. you know?
Yes, yeah, that's always, we always have the learning target. We start with it, they go through their stations, and then we always end with it too, of like a share out. So,
Nice.
yeah, and you can see some pictures. So for our word work, we have like a sand tray so they can practice making their words of whatever parts. So like this week we were working on like our controlled vowels. So like that would be what like car and like fur and all those kinds of words is what they would be making. And then sometimes in another picture you can see like we do partner reading. So usually like once a week I let them during their silent reading station, they can read with a partner to practice. And we talk about like peer feedback. So during that partner reading, we've talked about, okay, listen to your partner read and then give them feedback on, you know, how they're reading. That's one of what we've been working on at Trafford is just giving them feedback.
You're a brave soul. That's so praise in your classroom.
Oh, I know.
You must have taught the routine really
Oh,
well.
yeah. And it has not been spilled, like, and they're very good about it. And
That's great.
yeah, and that's another good thing though of having the YA student, because she was there to help, like,
It's the model, you guys.
monitoring it,
Yeah.
but they like it. Different. We have a few different choices for their word work. So the sand tray is one. There's chalkboards they can write on. We have letters, like just like wooden letters they can make words with, and then magnetic letters they can make words with. So they get to mix it up and try to get a hands-on. And we just got a little trampoline, so there might be like some spelling and jumping going on soon.
They're really
So-
excited.
I know.
Tomorrow we get to use the
They're
trampoline for math
so
class.
They're so excited. It got brought this afternoon and they're like, are we gonna use that? I'm like, probably.
Yes.
It is happening. So, any questions for Jill on stations and what that looks like in her classroom?
Jill, how do you use like iReady data for yourself? And I saw one of your students wasn't here, but how has that helped you as an educator?
Yeah, so I've actually pulled in like the data from iReady, and on iReady they actually have like some lessons you can print off, or they have like the skills that kids need to work on. So then like within my stations and my group, I've pulled those, looked at like lessons for specific kids, and then kind of brought that into my teaching and my like groups as well. So it breaks down like those skills for you, like, oh, these are the skills my students need to work on. Now I can pull that in.
Yeah, it's good stuff. They've got great lessons that match with the students
Yeah,
and what
so
it's tailored to. Yeah.
So I pulled those in, especially for like some of my kids that really need like comprehension work. They have some really good things that we've pulled in and used.
Teacher friendly, yeah. Just because also you have an IA in your classroom that's doing a lesson too. So just being able to provide, interventions that are not canned, but are like explicit in what we should be teaching and the expectation is great.
So everybody knows, instructional assistance is IAA for just making sure everybody knows what that is, so helping out in that front.
And or like, I just know like off of the top of my head, from my iReady data, out of my 12 students, 8 of them have already made their end of the year growth. So that's
Awesome.
really exciting. Yeah.
And you adjust your groups too, right? Based
Yes,
on
yes,
what's
I
happening
actually
and-
did, after just the iReady, we just adjusted. I took a look at the data and where they fell and, what skills they needed to work on and switched things up, so.
Sweet.
All right, and then just really quick, our math data too, so similar, we don't have a formal goal this year, but still wanted to get that data out here for you. So fall to winter, we're seeing some nice growth in math as well with our students. And then breakdown, here's K-5 and a celebration again, 100% of our first grade students are mid or above grade level. So again, huge shout out to the kids in our first grade class for working hard. And 6th, 7th, and 8th, you may remember I said a big thing I'm doing is evaluating our 6th through 8th graders use Alex Math, which is an online program. And I guess a celebration that I noticed is one of our 6th graders. This is where he tested at the start of the year and he finished, he actually started Alex Math last year as a 5th grader. He got through the 6th grade curriculum already. And then this year he's done, finished 7th grade curriculum, finished 8th grade, and is currently starting algebra. So, and you can see in his scores that like, it really allows like this student, he's a self-paced learner. He like works ahead, he loves math. And the Alex Math program allows him to really jump in. That's his passion. And you can see that he is also knocking it out of the park in his math. So students like him, Alex Math is a huge win for us. This just breaks down those domains and we can dig into like, what do we need to focus on or what areas may our students still need to work on for math. Math action steps remain the same from where they were in December. Overall, our roadmap, we want to celebrate the gains that our students are making. We still want to focus on how we can continue to grow across the board. And like I said, we'll really be digging into the data as a staff in the next couple of weeks and how we want to make adjustments. Our universal tenets at Treffert Way stay the same. So our learning targets, looking for them to be displayed, shared with the kids, just the importance of the kids knowing what they're working on or working towards. Like Jill said too, connecting those two things. Readers do this, writers also do this. It's an easy way for the kids to remember and make that connection. And then just opportunities to respond and getting that student voice in what we are doing. Any questions?
That's awesome.
Progress.
Double wow, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
It's really great, great work, great work.
It's really fun. This has been really fun.
Tiffany, sheet cake Friday, is that something?
I've got it, yeah, I need to. I know we're gonna have something for the staff, but we're also letting the kids put some voice into how they wanna celebrate the gains they're making too. So
Nice.
I have one list on my desk of trampoline park.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if you're serving your kids yet, but
I
if you
have
wanna
not,
bring
I
that to.
haven't.
And then we'll have the kids, we do a Monday morning meeting the first Monday of every month. So usually we'll take a couple ideas and the kids will get to vote and then we'll go with the majority of what our school wants for the celebration, so.
Nice. Thank you.
Jill, thanks for being here, thanks for all your work too.
Thank you.
Tara, as always, thank you. Okay, let's go see where my
Thank you.
Welcome. Have a good night, everybody. Drive safe. So the only thing that I haven't covered yet in the report is the implementation of IC. And we've kind of touched on this a little bit in the past, but looking at our system for student information, we have had Skyward for a number of years. And we are shifting to a way to make it a little bit more efficient for our staff as well as for our families and students. And so that implementation process has begun and we've started to work with the IC and Infinite Campus team. We've got some really good resources this time around in terms of implementation processing. We are giving a community passport situation where we can look at any time within, hopefully it loads here, but anything that we need to look at in terms of training, like let's say we want to focus on attendance. They give you dashboards for on-demand courses, and again, hopefully this loads in just a second here. So I can go under any of these things if we're working on trying to figure out, we want to figure out how we administrate behavior with Infinite Campus. What it offers is a course for every single one of these things and allows our people to get ahead of the step here. You enroll, talks about how many hours it takes. We know who's doing what or who's going through this process. We've selected specific people from the district to actually work through those specific areas. So we're making sure that they get the appropriate training. The IC team is very direct though too. We've got a team leader. So we've got someone we're communicating with all the time, but then we have a specific person who's addressing certain areas within IC itself. The big thing, and the reason why we shifted to this too, is that IC offers a all-in-one kind of package system. Through Skyward, we had to Frankenstein a lot of things. We had to pull things from other companies and bring it together, such as like a messenger system. This all makes it part of the system that we're part of. So everything from, the base of student information, this has a special ed component where we had to go out for special ed work in terms of the Skyward area. We also get to go specific with some other areas where we are making sure that our food service is part of that process, like it was within Skyward. We have campus messenger with voice, so it's all cooked into the one area. So you'll receive that all from IC, not just some separate entity. The campus online registration will all be done online, so electronically, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Campus payments will all be done through the system. We are not moving to campus analytics or campus learning. This is more of an LMS or a learning management system that we're not there yet. And the campus analytics suite is very similar to what we have for NextPath. And so we're choosing not to go there yet, but in the future we can see how that all works. And then this is a big one, the campus workflow suite. What we're able to do with that is families can actually do attendance from their phone. So if your son or daughter was absent for whatever reason, you can do it right from the phone, so you don't have to email or call the school anymore. And that saves a lot of work on everybody's front and makes it clean, slicker along the way. So it also, the campus workflow suites for levels at the middle school and high school, it actually has a hall pass process so that you swipe your card, you go from like, I need to use the restroom right now. It says basically how long that's happening. We can kind of graph that out. We make sure that the same person's not doing the same thing every single time. So they're making sure they get the most instruction whatsoever, but it's just a nice way to see all the flow within the school itself.
So this would replace everything that Skyward does plus the other sites, like the payment piece is awesome because right now it goes to another site, right? When you make payment.
Yep. And like all your athletics, everything will be cooked into the same place as well. So coaches, advisors, activities, they all have teams where they can look up that data right away. They'll be just connected directly to it. I didn't keep it up, but just even the profile that you see as a parent, like immediately on the dash, you'll see your 3 kids or 2 kids. It gives you all the information. It even shows their grades, their attendance, you name it. It's all there. Your lunch account, dollars, right in one spot. It's really, really efficient. It's not all over the place. And so we're excited for making that move.
When are we making the move? Are we
So
after the school year?
yes, this would start 26-27. So we're waiting until we're completed here. One of the biggest questions we had though was building schedules at the high school and middle school level, but they've accommodated that for us. So we're able to pre-build it in IC, and then they're just going to take all the data that we have from course requests from the high school level and dump them in, and we will have to do it. So our people don't have to make 2 schedules. Right. It saves us a lot of time.
That's cool.
I think that's about it from my report. Any questions about any of the things that we covered this evening?
I've just been thinking about this concession stand. There, you know, and I understand those just budgetary, but
Sure.
that's way off.
Yeah,
So we'll have.
we will, we
make sure that
will,
We're on track with that.
definitely see that.
Okay.
I think it's nice though that we, oh, what, sorry.
I was just gonna say, lost it.
I was talking to
Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah. I think it'll be cool to see how that fits into our 5-year budget piece, like having those two documents line up together now. And then, like, I really enjoyed, the Kakana coming here and sharing kind of how they're connecting to the community. Cause I think that's what we've all talked about. How do we do a better job of that, right? As we move forward. And, I think that that's a great start to what we can do. And we're gonna also have a great story to tell with all the results that the team are putting through. And I wanna hear them share with the community,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
all the, you know, all the results they're getting and just how they're using data and then using their skill as a teacher to really make that possible for kids. Cause those gains, it's crazy. Like, I don't know, that was probably my favorite
Yeah.
part. I've been in 6 years, that was probably one of my favorite parts. I'm serious.
No.
Like just hearing
Yeah.
those personal stories. So, cause that's 3 students that were highlighted. That's 3 of our 1,500 and next time there'll be 3 more. And
Right.
that's how you kind of build it. So,
You know, we had talked about having a kind of a budget meeting about the staffing for next year. Is that on the horizon here?
It is on the horizon, so we will get together shortly. I mean, again, it comes back to what we showed you, I think, last time around, or I believe in terms of what is the proposal, like 1 staff, 2 staff, and making a decision on that
Right.
moving forward.
Because you wanted to make that sooner than.
Yes, yep. And I might even do an emergency meeting just so we can get it into play, but we're very close to determining that. We said some other things come into play, and including the special ed funding,
Yeah.
which hampers that a little bit in terms of direction of being conservative to in our efforts moving forward, but it's just, yeah, I won't go into that right now. Katie, you were gonna say something too, or?
No, this is probably a question for Mike, was that his name?
Yes, yep.
But I'm curious how he got buy-in from, we talked about before how we have like the same community members come together to support the district. How do we get buy-in from the people that don't?
Mhm.
So I'm curious, that question for him, and obviously he's gone now, so.
Well,
doesn't
one of
help, but-
And I've been meeting with Mike, this is the great thing about the networking and superintendents, is there's just so few of us, but yet we have such good relationships. And this is one of the reasons I was interested in it, because we talked about this in terms of extending our reach. One of the biggest things was just messaging specific people, almost going to the door and saying, hey, would you be interested in, this is what we're having, and this is what this provides, and showing them value add in it, not just, hey, come to our summit meetings.
Yeah, and I think because it's so interactive.
Yes.
Too, it's not just come see a presentation,
Right.
right? And
Right.
it's a way to share information, but then they're helping build something, right? Or at least their feedback can be
Yes.
then digested into a plan.
Right.
And I think that's how you really generate the buy-in. So I think that was really nice to have Mike share, what they did.
yeah.
It was good to see.
I thought it was the video too. I don't know if you all noticed, like, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, putting on one of the events, that's money,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And we're in a, part of trying to do it, but everything had a sponsor on it.
Sponsored.
Yeah, like even
Yeah.
the table signs, that table is sponsored. We have so many local businesses that do so much for us. And I mean, just even by the clerk's report of all the folks that made private donations too, that would probably be a great place to start as well for support.
And each of those meetings, they had dinner or for everyone, food for everyone who came in there. And that was another sell to bring people in and be part of it too as well. So
That's cool.
I only would say one more thing to it. John's point too is like, I've been doing this for quite some time, but to hear teachers say, I looked at their data and I saw this gap, and now we did this differently than we were doing before. And then seeing that growth, that's what this is all about. Like, this is really magical that we got people who are on board for this, and it just, again, gets me excited about being here, and again.
Yeah. Well, it reassures too, like that's two different buildings.
Right.
Two different teachers.
Right.
So I know all the work that was happening 3 years ago, 2 years ago, where, you know, we weren't happy with the results, right? But that foundational around communication, common language, all those things that were put into place, that's starting to be a result of it. Cause, you know, I have a better understanding of what they're doing now. They have a better understanding. I mean, she knew exactly how many kids were at 8 of 12. I remember, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the cool part that I think we'll continue to see as we move forward. Pretty cool. All right, good stuff. All right, we are on to new business. So, excuse me, we have 3 items on new business. Our first one is to discuss and consider approval for open enrollment capacities for the next school year of 26-27, which were called out before. So I'll look for a motion to approve the open enrollment capacities for next calendar school year.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Katie jumped in there.
Sorry, it's too quiet.
Matthew, yes. Gellings.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Humphrey.
Yes.
Geckerman.
Yes. All right, our second item is to discuss, consider an early graduation application for this school year, which was found in our packet. So I don't know if, Matt, you wanted to share anything else on that?
Not too much, other than, this is our process for walking through this. They provide a reason for that going forward, and I think they have a fair understanding of where we're at right now and where we're gonna go, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, any questions?
Well, I would say when we put this policy into place, the board had some concerns or questions because we hadn't had our early graduation policy procedures at all. So we worked with the administration at the time and set up some guardrails and something that worked out well for those who fit the criteria. And this is a case, this was the type of case that we were looking to say, okay, that's great. So I'm all in favor of that.
Well said.
Well supported by, our counselors at high school, and the principal too, just so we have those conversations, and I really lean on them for where they feel this is at, and they definitely felt this was a good thing moving forward, so.
Excellent. Then I'll look for a motion to approve the early graduation application that is presented to us.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Then roll.
Hawk.
Yes.
Geckerman.
Yes.
Gellings.
Yes.
Matthew, yes. Humphrey.
Yes.
Okay, last item is to discuss and consider moving the March 23rd regular board meeting to the Monday prior, it looks like, for March 16th.
And can I talk about this? This
Yeah.
is vulnerability on my part. I was presented with the ability to go take my son over to do an internship in the UK. It happened to fall under that same time, and it doesn't happen too often where he gets to go over there and being able to move him in. So I'm just requesting on behalf of me to be able to move that forward. So it is a little selfish on my part, but the week later is spring break, which, I mean, after the 23rd is spring break, and I know you all have families and things like that, and you're gonna be connecting that way. So I was just looking at if we could look at the 16th as a possible date moving forward here.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I'm fine with this, going back to my last discussion, this is one of the, reasons that we would do this. If nothing else, can't have a meeting without you here, Matt, so. Yeah, and then there was one other thought I had on that, but, how does that play into the deadline to getting out, like the contracts and that's kind of a mid-March kind of thing?
Yeah, we're still working on that area too, because that fluctuation can be anywhere from that February all the way into April, May. So it'd be nice to be able to get contracts out earlier for our staff so they realize, oh, we are still moving forward with that. And I think versus last year, we had to wait until after April to get those contracts out due to the referenda. This way, if we can get those out earlier, if you know, if it's March 16th and we get those approval on that day and start getting those out, that's, I think, great too.
I agree with that. I think, I mean, if we can make a push to try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in light of the cuts that were done.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody to start looking other places. If that's- Just to keep an eye on that.
No, it's great.
Good call. All right. I'll look for a motion to approve the moving of the March meeting from the 23rd of March to March 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Ready, when you're ready, Rick?
Humpner,
Yes.
Skillings,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Mathew, yes, Geckerman.
Yes. All right, and then our last item is adjourned, so we'll adjourn the meeting today at 8:02 PM. So thank you, everyone.
Good night, Oriole Nation. Stay warm.
Moving to Dave.